Hey, wonderful people, how you doing? So this is another episode, I guess, of something to consider. I had this thought the other day, and I was reflecting back to one of my interviews, and the person I was interviewing, one of the things he said was, "I don't really trust you if you don't have any scars." And it stuck with me. It stuck with me because I was just like, wow, that's really serious. Like, I don't really trust you if you don't have any scars. And it made a lot of sense to me. And when I think about that, a lot of times we have scars, but we don't even know what they are. And we can just kind of go through life in a space of just completely being oblivious to how we might be hurting ourselves, how we might be hurting other people. And so I think it's really imperative that we acknowledge what our scars really are. And so that's the thing too. Like, people know their physical scars. People all the time, they'll say, "Hey man, I'm telling you, when I was 4 years old, this is how I got that thing right there, that cut right there. That was from when I was 4. I fell off the counter, right, and then I just hit my face on the ledge, and it cut my face right there. Like back in the war, when I was 18 years old, I got this scar right here on my shoulder." You see what I'm saying? Like, we'll have stories for days about the physical scars. But what about the internal scars? And a lot of times we don't want to recognize the internal scars because a lot of times the emotional scars are that much more painful. And we may even block those scars out. We don't want to think about that thing that happened to us when we were 6 years old that we were told not to ever share with anybody, but it's still a scar. And it affects our lives whether we want to admit it or not. It usually affects our lives in some form or fashion. And so I think that it's incredibly important for us to really acknowledge those scars, the internal scars, the emotional scars. Yes, I have physical scars and I had to embrace my physical scars, but what that created within me was a disconnect. For me, it was, yes, I have physical scars, and even when I started to show my physical scars, it was still a space that I got to, whether it was in dating relationships or just kind of showing up, like, how are you going to receive me? Am I good enough? And so a lot of self-esteem issues. It was a lot of, I don't feel like I belong because I feel very different. And so I would just kind of not even participate. Like, a lot of times I just, they don't really need me to participate. I don't really belong. So that's just a small thing. I have the full shebang in my book. So I'm gonna talk about my full story and the internal scars in my book. But I wanted to just kind of jump on here really quick just to share just something to consider when you're thinking about scars and internal scars. A part of that is like, how do I even really share that? How do I even decipher what my internal scars are? Because a lot of times you're so busy just kind of living your life and pressing through and moving forward that you don't even know that you're dealing with some stuff. So let's hop in and let's talk about how you can decipher and determine what your internal scars are. Identify some things that are holding you back. And this is a way that you can kind of get along the path of figuring that out. So look at your life, do an assessment of your life. All right, so look at your relationships. whether it's a dating relationship or family. Is there a disconnect with someone? Is there someone you're just like, look, we just not about to be friends. We not about to, or you my cousin and everything, but I don't want anything to do with you. Or, because if you look at that kind of situation, if you feel like they're a toxic person or something like that, how has that affected you? How has that made you show up in other ways in your life? Just really kind of start to identify those things. And then maybe it's a situation where it has to do with money. Do you have money issues? If you have money issues, a lot of times it's because you got some internal scars, or there's some internal programming that you didn't know. And it's like, oh, that's why I feel this situation has happened as it pertains to money. Or maybe it's anger issues. Are you just always angry and you're like, no, this is just how I am. I just, I pop off. That's just what I do. Like, maybe that's what you're like, this is just a part of my personality. Is it part of your personality, or did you experience a trauma that shaped and molded you, and now you see the world a certain way? Now you see certain people a certain way, and now you feel a certain way, and this is just how you show up. Because you feel like you have to protect yourself. And the way you protect yourself is through anger. Or and I say this because I experienced this as well. I had some issues with weight several years ago. But it was one of those things where it was emotional for me. I just moved to Los Angeles. I was away from my family. I didn't know anyone. I felt alone, and I overate, and I ate the wrong things to really kind of fill a void, an emotional void. And I didn't understand that at the time. All I knew was I can't fit my clothes anymore. You see what I'm saying? So there's things that you can look at in your life. So just do a life assessment and look and see what's been going on. What areas am I feel like I'm struggling in? What's happening? And so when you look and you see, okay, that there's the root of that. That's a scar. When this thing happened to me when I was 12 years old, and since I was 12 years old, I've been doing these things. So that's how you start to identify your scars. That's how you start to get the work going. And so I just encourage you to, you don't have to, hey, when you identify the scars, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like, oh, I done got this done happen and I got to deal with it. No. The only reason you're identifying your scars is because it's going to serve you. It's going to get you out of your way so you can get what you want. Because a lot of times the scars are in a way you can't get what you want. And you deserve to have that which you desire. So that's all. I just want to drop that, put that on out there for you to consider. And yeah, I appreciate you. And just know that scars make you beautiful. So peace, blessings, and love to you. All right now.